The cameras were always watching. That was the unspoken truth behind every dramatic pause, every tearful confession, every explosive argument that unfolded under the bright lights of reality television. For the stars of 90 Day Fiancé, love wasn't just a personal journey, it was a performance, one that millions tuned in to watch, judge, and dissect. And lately, one storyline had fans buzzing louder than ever. Was Natalie really in it for love, or for something else entirely? Jasmine leaned back in her chair, her expression sharp, eyes narrowed in a way that suggested she'd seen this story play out before. She didn't need to raise her voice to make an impact, her confidence did that for her. People think love is blind, she said slowly, almost thoughtfully, but on this show, love is very aware of the cameras. Her words lingered, heavy with implication. Across the internet, fans were already connecting dots, replaying scenes, analyzing body language, and debating motives. Natalie's relationship with Gino had always been complicated, filled with emotional highs, confusing lows, and enough tension to fuel an entire season. But something about it felt off. Not fake, exactly. Just calculated. It started with the little things. The way Natalie's tone seemed to shift depending on who she was talking to, the way her emotions, while intense, sometimes felt just a beat too perfectly timed. Fans noticed how she could go from distant to deeply affectionate almost instantly, especially when the cameras were rolling. "Did you see that scene?" one fan wrote online. She looked completely uninterested until the producer asked a question. Then suddenly, tears. Another chimed in, "It's like she knows exactly what makes good TV." And that was the heart of the suspicion. Natalie wasn't just participating in the show. She might be playing it. Gino, on the other hand, seemed to exist in a different reality entirely. Awkward, earnest, and often visibly overwhelmed. He wore his emotions openly, sometimes painfully so. When he spoke about Natalie, there was a sincerity that felt hard to fake. He believed in what they had, even when it didn't make sense. That contrast only made the situation more suspicious. Because if one person was all in, and the other wasn't? Then what was really going on? Jasmine didn't hesitate to weigh in. "I've been in this world," she said, her voice firm. "I know what it looks like when someone is here for love and when someone is here for opportunity." She wasn't naming names outright, but she didn't have to. Everyone knew who she meant. "There's nothing wrong with wanting success," she continued, "but you cannot play with someone's heart just to stay relevant." Her words struck a nerve. Because for many viewers, that was exactly what they feared. Natalie's journey on the show had always been unconventional. She wasn't the typical partner who blended easily into her new life. She questioned everything: culture, expectations, even the relationship itself. At first, that complexity made her compelling. But over time, it began to raise eyebrows. Why stay in a relationship that clearly made her unhappy? Why continue a cycle of conflict that never seemed to resolve? And perhaps most importantly, why keep coming back? Some fans believed the answer was simple: exposure. Reality TV had a way of turning ordinary people into recognizable faces overnight. With that visibility came opportunities, social media growth, brand deals, public appearances, and a platform that could extend far beyond the show itself. For someone ambitious, it wasn't just a relationship. It was a career move. Think about it, one viewer speculated. Every dramatic moment keeps her in the spotlight. Every argument, every breakup, every reconciliation, it's all content. Another added, if she leaves Gino, she risks losing the storyline. And without the storyline, what's left? It was a harsh perspective, but one that was gaining traction. Still, not everyone agreed. There were those who defended Natalie, who saw her not as manipulative, but misunderstood. "She's emotional," one fan argued. "She feels things deeply. That doesn't mean she's fake." Others pointed out the pressures of being on reality TV, the way editing could shape narratives, the way producers could influence situations, the way real emotions could be amplified into something that looked almost theatrical. "Imagine having your relationship picked apart by millions," another viewer wrote. "Anyone would look inconsistent." And they had a point. Because behind the speculation, behind the theories and debates, there were real people involved. Real feelings. Real consequences. But Jasmine wasn't convinced. There's a difference between being emotional and being strategic, she said, and people can tell the difference. She leaned forward slightly, her gaze steady. You cannot fake authenticity forever. Eventually, the truth shows. It was a bold statement, and one that seemed to echo the growing sentiment among fans. The turning point, many believed, came during a particularly tense episode. Natalie and Gino were in the middle of yet another disagreement, voices raised, emotions high, but something about the scene felt different. Not the argument itself, but the way it unfolded. Natalie paused at one point, her expression shifting subtly, almost as if she were recalibrating. Then, just as quickly, she launched into a more dramatic response: tears, frustration, intensity. To some viewers, it felt genuine. To others, it felt performed. That moment, one fan wrote, that's when I started questioning everything. Gino, meanwhile, remained consistent. Confused, hurt, hopeful. He didn't seem to be playing a role. If anything, he seemed caught in a story he didn't fully understand. And that made the possibility of manipulation even more unsettling. Because if Natalie was indeed using the relationship as a means to an end, then Gino wasn't just a partner. He was part of the plot. The conversation online grew louder. Threads, videos, breakdowns, everyone had an opinion. Some dissected her expressions frame by frame. Others analyzed her social media, looking for clues about her intentions. Was she promoting herself more than the relationship? Was she positioning herself for opportunities beyond the show? Every detail became evidence. Every moment, a piece of a larger puzzle. And yet, the truth remained elusive. Because reality TV, by its very nature, blurred the lines between what was real and what was presented. Was Natalie calculating? Or was she simply navigating a complicated relationship under extraordinary circumstances? Was Jasmine's perspective insight or projection? And were fans seeing the full picture or just the version crafted for them? In the end, perhaps the most compelling part of the story wasn't the answer, but the question itself. Because it revealed something deeper about the way audiences engage with reality television. We want authenticity. We crave real emotion, real connection. But we also know, on some level, that what we're watching is shaped, edited, and designed to keep us hooked. So when something feels off, we notice. We question. We speculate. As the season continued, one thing was certain. The spotlight wasn't leaving Natalie anytime soon.